Hello guys, Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. In today's video we are going to discuss clause, phrase and their differences with examples. And I am going to present a digital poster in order to have some visuals and practical examples which will really help in understanding clause, phrase and their differences. So first, coming towards clause. A clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a verb. Very easy definition. Clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a verb. Subject and a verb or predicate. Simply, there are two types of clauses. The first one is independent clause, as you see on the digital poster. Independent clause is a clause which makes sense on its own as a sentence. For example, I went to school. It's a sentence or an independent clause, and it gives a complete sense. So an independent clause gives a complete sense, and it has a subject, which is I in this sentence, and a predicate, went or verb, which is there in the rest of the sentence. So in this sentence, it is a complete independent clause which has subject and verb, and it gives a complete sense without any meaning discrepancy. The second example of clause, these are some general types of clauses. Independent clauses. Dependent clause is that clause which does not make any sense on its own or as a sentence. Dependent clause needs another clause to complete its meaning, and it does not give complete sense. It gives a sense but not complete sense. It is not like independent clause, which is a full sentence having full meaning. Dependent clause rather gives incomplete sense, and it is not a sentence. Example is given: although I was not feeling well. Now this is a dependent clause, and it needs another clause to complete its sense. So dependent clause is a clause which does not make full sense, complete sense, and it cannot stand as a sentence. So although I was not feeling well, I went to school. The same I went to school is used later also, which stands as independent clause and gives a complete meaning. But the first clause, which starts with although, is a dependent clause, and it needs another clause to complete its meaning. So simply to put, a clause is a group of words that must have subject and verb. And simply we got two general types of clauses. Independent clause is a clause which stands as a complete sentence on its own and gives a complete sense. On the other hand, dependent clause is dependent on another clause, and it does not give complete sense. Now coming towards phrase. After discussing clause, we are going to discuss phrase. So simply, a phrase is a group of words without a subject-verb component. In clause, we discussed that we must have a subject and verb or predicate, but in phrase, we do not have subject or verb component. So phrase is a group of words which gives a sense, not complete meaning, and it does not have subject or verb. We have got different types of phrases. For example, noun phrase. So in noun phrase, the head word must be noun. For example, the first is noun phrase. For example, best friend. Here, friend is the head word, which is noun. So in noun phrase, the head word is always noun, and we know that whenever the head word is noun, so that phrase would be a noun phrase. The second phrase is verb phrase, is the name clears. So in the verb phrase, we must have the head word is a verb. So was working, here working is verb, so the phrase is verb phrase. The third type of phrase is adjective phrase, and as the name depicts, adjective phrase must have adjective as main verb. For example, very pretty. Here the main head word is pretty, which is an adjective, so this phrase is an adjective phrase. The fourth type, which is an adverb phrase, is a phrase which have a head word adverb. For example, really slowly. Here, slowly is an adverb and the head word is an adverb. That's why the whole phrase is an adverb phrase. Really is also an adverb, but here the head word is slowly, which is an adverb, and because of slowly, the phrase is an adverb phrase. The next one is prepositional phrase. Its name also depicts that it must have a preposition is a head verb. In the bin or in the dustbin, here in is a preposition which starts this phrase. So in the bin or in the dustbin, in this sentence, in is a preposition, in this phrase is a prepositional phrase. So to sum it up, phrase is a group of verbs without a subject or verb component, and it gives a sense, not complete sense nor complete meaning. And we have got different types of phrases as we discussed: noun phrase, verb phrase, adjective phrase, adverb phrase, prepositional phrase, and some others. And beside phrase we discussed clause. That clause is a combination of words which has a subject and a verb, and it got two types. One was independent clause. Independent clause is a clause which stands as a complete sentence and it gives a complete sense and meaning. On the other side, dependent clause was a clause which does not stand as a complete sentence and it does not give a complete sense or meaning. Rather, dependent clause need independent clause or another clause to complete its meaning. So this was the overall view of phrase, clause, and their differences. Thank you.